Hi guys, I know I have been missing. It hasn't been very good eye days and things like that, so that is why this is late. I finally had enough energy and felt good enough to jump to get up and do some videos and do some content and stuff like that. So that's why this weekly wrap up for week 49 is late. But let's just jump right into things. Last week was pretty busy. I'm sure if you saw my any of my videos from last week, you know what happened and what have you. So the beginning of this week started off real kind of rocky because I had to get a doctor's appointment and things like that that'll be happening next week. Thankfully they're able to get me in kind of quickly and everything like that. So let's jump into the books that I did read last week. I started off by finishing Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. This is a retelling of Hades and Persephone in graphic novel form. I give it 3.5 stars. I give it no Steam fans. I would actually place this probably in young adult or middle grade, although there are trigger warnings and content warnings associated with the graphic novel, like in the first couple pages and stuff like that. And I was super confused. I was so confused. I read this in physical form. I ordered a copy of it because a TikToker named Bree was like raving about it and really enjoyed it and stuff like that. It is a webtoon, so I might think about looking into the webtoons to, try and watch it and get caught up and get an understanding or something like that. But as of right now, it's just like, ooh, wow, that was really interesting and weird. And, the graphics were really, really gorgeous. The pictures were really beautiful, but I couldn't follow very much story or plot line or anything like that. Maybe that's because I'm not a huge Hades and Persephone fan. So, or follower. Then I finished My Darling Duke, which is Sinful Wallflowers, #1 by Stacy Reid, placing this in historical romance. Give it 4 stars. Give it 3. Steam fans had this as an audiobook, and this is a Black author. This is a sort of forced fake fiance situation that goes on, and our female character Catherine is the older sister, and she doesn't want her younger sisters to be in ruin because she's a wallflower and she's sort of been named as a spinster. So she makes up a story for the gossip rags and says that she has a fiance named Alexander who is a recluse duke, and then he comes to court and kind of whisks her away, is like, oh, you're using my name, and we're supposed to be getting married, but we've never met. And he doesn't out her or anything like that. And I really kind of enjoyed this story. As I said, I give it 3 Steam fans because there were some like seriously steamy parts within this story that I was just like, oh, okay, I'm here for this. There are content warnings for grief, impotency discussion, and PTSD and trauma. So that is part of both of their stories. They've both lost somebody. There is some grief that goes along, and I just kind of really enjoyed the story. I'm looking forward to finding out about the rest of the wallflowers and moving on to the next story. The next thing that I finished was 1 Week to Claim It All, which is Sanbaro's #1 by Adriana Herrera. And placing this in contemporary, give it 4.25 stars. Give it 3 Steam fans. Had this as an audiobook on Hoopla, and this is part of the Harlequin Desire line. This is a Latinx author as well, and we have Esmeralda and Rodrigo, and the two of them had a past. Esmeralda is all of a sudden named the head of this movie studio by her estranged father who dies, and she has a certain amount of time to take over the reins, and Rodrigo has been the one that has been sort of doing that and was her father's like secondhand man and stuff like that. And the two of them had a history and past and things like that, so you get to learn about that. And I loved that the movie studio was very diverse, and in the films that it took and things like that. But you learn about family secrets, and there's some family conspiracies that are going on and things like that. The next book that I finished was Just for the Holidays, which is Sombrero books number 2 by Adriana Herrera, placing this one in contemporary as well, and give it 4 stars, give it 2.5. Steam fans had this as an audiobook through Hoopla, Latinx author, since it's the same one from before, and this is part of the Harlequin Desire line as well. And this is another second chance romance. This is Gael and Perla's story. Perla is Esmeralda's stepsister, and she's now the new casting director. Gail is the like superstar actor that she had a thing with back in the day, and now that she is out from underneath her family sort of reign and he is a big star, she wants him to be in a new movie that the studio is producing, and they end up getting snowed in on the vineyard, I believe it is Martha's Vineyard, and she is stuck there with his family, a family that has treated her like family for a long time, and they kind of rekindle their romance. The next book that I finished was Inevitable, which is Stonewood Brothers number 1 by Shain Rose. I'm placing this in new adult, and actually I did not finish this. I DNF'd it at 64%. 64%. I could not take the annoying characters any longer. I would give it 2 stars, or I did give it 2 stars in my review, and gave it 3 Steam fans because it was quite steamy. But I had this as an ebook out of Kindle, and if you saw my December TBR list, you would know that this is one of the books that I wanted to read. So we have Aubrey and we have Jax. They knew each other, and Aubrey is Jax's brother's best friend, and there are loads of content warnings for this, for domestic violence, for assault, for suicide, for trauma, for just all out abuse, just loads of things, and it like hits you right off the bat. So check your trigger warnings if you are looking to go into this. But I didn't feel that there was too much growth within this story, and it felt very jumbled. I do believe this is this author's debut novel, so I am definitely going to be giving the next book in this series and other books of hers a chance to check out, to sort of see, if there is some growth within this author's writing skills and things like that. But this book just did not work for me. I do want to hear about the other brothers that Jax has, because they are mentioned. I found that having the first names of all of the brothers start with the same letter was very confusing. It was just like, okay, which brother am I? Wait, which ones are connected where? And yeah, craziness. So then I finished Holt, her Ruthless Scion, which is Ruthless Second Chances by number 1 by Theodora Taylor. Placing this in dark romance, give it 4.25 stars, give it 3 Steam fans. Listen to this as an audiobook. I am diving down a Theodora Taylor freaking rabbit hole. If my library can get more of her work in audiobook, I would be so happy. This is a Black author. The last one was a Black author as well. And this story follows Sylvie and Holt. They know each other and the story starts when they are like kind of graduating from high school, and they spend one summer together and they get obsessed with each other. But Holt has some drug issues and has some trauma that he needs to really kind of work out, and then you are left on a cliffhanger for the ending of this story because something ends up happening. Sylvie's parents are Jamaican, and I still don't know if I'm supposed to like the secondary characters and things like that, if I'm supposed to like Holt or not. And I was just like, there's a love-hate thing going on there. Sylvie, I really enjoyed. She wants to sort of better herself and become a child psychologist, and I was here for that. So the next book that I finished was Holt, Her Ruthless Billionaire, which is Ruthless Second Chances #2 by Theodora Taylor, placing this one in dark romance as well. This is the continuation of Holt and Sylvie's story, and we are zoomed ahead 10 years, and we find out what happened within those 10 years, and lots of things end up happening. I don't want to say too much more because it would be a spoiler, but know that it's going to grab you and keep you like right there on the edge of your seat until the very end. And I was like here for it. There are some content warnings for, like I said, for the last one, which is trauma and suicide and drugs. There's no drugs in this one, but there is racism discussed, family secrets, and some corporate espionage type things that are going on. The next book that I finished was Tease Me Once, Shame on You, #1 by W. Winters, which is Willow Winters' dark romance novels. And I give this one 4.25 stars, give it 4.5 Steam fans. Read this as an ebook. There are content warnings for abuse, BDSM practices, criminal activity, corruption, and something else, conspiracies, things like that. It's crazy. So we have Declan and we have Braylon. They knew each other. They re-meet up again, and yeah, Declan is the youngest cross brother, and this is part of the Merciless series. I really enjoyed it and want more. Can't wait. It's an interesting ride. Then the final book that I finished last week was Bossy Billionaire, which is Cocky Heroes, part of the Cocky Heroes Club. And this is by Chiquita Dennie. Give it 4.25 stars. Give it 3 Steam fans. Had this as an audiobook. And this is a Black author. I felt like I needed to have read some other books because there were a lot of secondary characters that kind of kept mentioning their kind of stories. But we have Maya and we have Ethan. Maya is a social media radio star, and she starts to follow around Ethan after a one-night stand that they have together, and he starts running for the mayor of New York, I think it is, mayor or governor or something like that. But they go on this journey of cat and mouse, and the thing that I kind of was missing, that they are having the sexy time, but I don't remember hearing it because I listened to this as an audiobook, and like hearing it, it was like it was almost fade to black, but not fade to black, because you knew in some points that they were doing the deed and things like that. So yeah, there's that. So what am I currently reading? I am currently reading Hate to Date You by Monica Murphy. I have this on Hoopla. It's one of my Hoopla list ones. Hardpressed by Peyton Storm, which is a KU book that I wanted to read for December, and I will be reading Sweeper by Amy Daws. It finally came out on audiobook, and of course I picked it up. So that is what is going on there. Sorry if this felt a little rushed. I ended up starting recording this, and I'm supposed to be going to pick up kiddo from robotics club, so I need to get going. But thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you in another video. Bye.